أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى أصحابه وعلى جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. As we journey through the Quran tonight, we heard the recitation of an entire chapter. It's unique that the entire chapter is exactly 1.25 juz. It's the only chapter like that, by the way. It's Surah Al-An'am. And most scholars consider that this entire surah was revealed as one revelation. So can you imagine the Rasulullah sometimes received revelation of 3 or 4 ayats, sometimes 5 ayats. Tonight, whatever you heard in Taraweeh, according to some scholars, all of it was revealed as one revelation, Surah Al-An'am. It is a late Meccan revelation, in other words, just prior to the Rasulullah leaving for Medina. And it was the most difficult period where there was a boycott of the Muslims, as you know, persecution, and also eventually the Prophet ﷺ had to leave. It was around the period I mentioned to you last night, or was it the night before? I think I mentioned about Nusayba al-Mazaniyah, who came for the pledge of Aqaba. It was around that time, just a year or so before the Rasul left for Medina. So this Meccan revelation, which is believed to be a revelation complete as one revelation according to some scholars, is very unique in its recurring affirmation of the commands and the constant instruction to humanity through Rasulullah. You find the word qul, qul is an instruction. And this is one of the proofs of the revelation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, tells the Rasul, qul huwa Allahu ahad. The Rasul did not tell us huwa Allahu ahad. As the angel Jibreel commanded the Rasul, qul huwa Allahu ahad, even the qul the Rasul conveyed to us. In other words, indicates exactly what was revealed through Jibreel. Rasul gave it to us exactly as it was revealed. He could have said huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad. But qul, say. And in that say sometimes is not only the Prophet is being instructed to convey the message, but it's also an instruction for us who are reading the Quran. Qul, say you also, huwa Allahu ahad, Allah is one. The word qul appears 40 times in 165 of these verses. And of course the word qul appears more here than in any other chapter. The surah begins with the praise of Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the creator of darkness and light, and a reprimand to the deniers of the reality of Allah's supremacy, who equate darkness and light as two forces that are supreme. And sometimes there's a notion of a struggle between the forces of evil and the forces of goodness, as if darkness is equal to light. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then makes reference to the fact that He has made mercy incumbent upon Himself. Kataba ala nafsihi rahmah. There is a rebuttal of the skepticism of people who regard the divine revelation as being questionable. They don't realize that denying the messenger and the message of the messenger actually is denying the revelation and the message of Allah. Allah then makes reference to the phenomena of nature, that every creature walking on earth, whether crawling or sliding on the ground, swimming in the ocean or flying in the sky, all of these are part of structured communities. They are ummah by themselves. And they have been developed proportionately consistent with their level of existence. Whether a bird flies, it's created with the capacity for that environment. Whether fish live in the ocean, the capacity. So Allah made each level of creation consistent and proportionate to its level of existence. Don't be blind nor deaf to the signs of Allah which are all around you. Each one of these creation a masterpiece of the Creator. Nor be like those who went through trials and tribulations, and instead of becoming softened by the trials and tribulations, they became hardened themselves. We are reminded that prophets have been sent throughout history as mubashireen and mundhireen, as those who are bearers of glad tidings and warners for those who are deviating. That they were divinely guided human beings who made us reflect upon the reality of life and distinguishing ignorance from guidance and falsehood and error from righteousness. They all made us aware that the hukum is ultimately the final command is with Allah, and He is يقص الحق, the expounder of the ultimate truth, and خير الفاصلين, the best of judges. We are also asked, in fact instructed, not to take as our confidants those people who take our deen for a sport or for a mockery. Nor should we be beguiled by materialism or fooled by the materialism of the world. Then there's a detailed account of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and Ibrahim alayhi salam is significant, of course. We are referred to as the Abrahamic faith, the Christians, Jews and Muslims, the Ahlul Kitab. And we look at Ibrahim alayhi salam's life story, and it's very important to reflect. When Allah captures these life stories in scripture, there's a lesson in this for us, that Ibrahim alayhi salam as a young person was trying to find his way. فَلَمَّا رَأَى الْقَمَرَ بَازِغًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي فَلَمَّا رَأَى الشَّمْسَ بَازِغَةً قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي هَذَا أَكْبَرُ. He looked at the phenomena of nature, at the grand things, things beyond his control, and he thought, could the moon be my God, Lord? Then he says, no, the moon goes down, then the sun comes up, then the sun goes down. In other words, what he was trying to analyze and find reason and logic. Could these forces, which are so powerful, so magnificent, could they perhaps be the supreme? And through his analysis, we find that impressing upon the notion of idol worshipping, sun worshipping, womb worshipping, the unsound foundation of the beliefs and the absurdity of the logic of people who worship anything other than Allah. And it culminated in Ibrahim alayhi salam's commitment to Allah, single-minded devotion and commitment. Inni wajjahtu wajhiya lilladhi fatara as-samawati wal ard hanifan muslima. In fact, we read that part which Ibrahim alayhi salam said. We read it very often as part of our prayer before we read the Fatiha. The rightly guided are those who shall attain security and safety. They are those who are genuine in faith, and there are those who do not contaminate their faith with injustice. Sometimes people are very religious, but they can be very unjust. Iman and dhulm doesn't go together. And that's why in the Quran you'll find in one of the verses we read early on, اِعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. Be just, for justice is the closest practical expression to piety. Almost implying that those who are just, it's an evidence against them that they cannot be pious. اِعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. Be just, for justice is the closest manifestation to piety. In fact, we are told in Surah Hadid, later in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلُنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانَ لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ. We sent prophets throughout history with the balance and the guidance and the guidelines in order that humankind may live with justice. One of the primary objectives of prophets. And that's why some of the scholars, not the hadith, but some of the scholars have said, in fact Ibn Taymiyyah has said as well, rahimahullah, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَنْصُرُ الدَّوْلَةَ الْعَادِلَةَ وَلَوْ كَانَتْ كَافِرَةً وَلَا يَنْصُرُ الدَّوْلَةَ الظَّالِمَةَ وَلَوْ كَانَتْ مُؤْمِنَةً. Allah will support a just authority, even if that authority is not Muslim. Allah will not support an unjust system, even if people in authority happen to be Muslim. Because in dealing with people, justice is paramount. And that comes across in these verses. Then there's condemnation of superstition and of pagan customs in vogue at that time, such as human sacrifice and particularly the burying of female children. We are told to treat the orphans with justice, be equitable in our economic dealings, and to fulfill our contracts. Do not be divided amongst yourself into sects. And inshallah, on Sunday or so, another verse comes where I'll speak about this unnecessary division amongst Muslims, calling each other kafir and so on and so forth. But there's reference to that as well. And we are told not to divide ourselves into contending sects, to do good. And Allah will reward our good tenfold. Man ja'a bil hasana falahu ashru amthaliha. If you do good, Allah will reward you 10 times the good you do, at least. وَمَنْ جَاءَ بِالسَّيِّئَةِ فَلَا يُجْزَى إِلَّا مِثْلَهَا وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. And if you do wrong, Allah may pardon you if you ask forgiveness. But if He does punish you, He'll only punish you to the extent of the wrong, not 10 times the wrong. Indicates, of course, وَرَحْمَتِي وَسِعَتْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. Allah's mercy is biased towards reward rather than that of punishment. And then we say the prayer of Ibrahim قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Say, my prayer, my service of sacrifice, my life, and even my death are for Allah. And then the surah concludes, know that the most forgiving and most merciful and compassionate Allah has made human beings as Khalifatullah, as vicegerents of Allah on earth. And He tests us by means of what He has given us. If you have wealth, that is your amana. The more you have, the more you are responsible. Whether it be knowledge, whether it be power, whether it be authority, whether it be wealth, whatever it may be. Whatever you have more of, that is a greater responsibility and an amana upon yourself. The topic we discussed yesterday. The hadith, اتق الله حيثما كنت وأتبع السيئة الحسنة تمحها وخالق الناس بخلق حسن. Sometimes we are dazzled. Like yesterday we heard in the 7th juz, قل لا يستوي الخبيث والطيب ولو أعجبك كثرة الخبيث. Never can the bad things in the world be equal to the good and the wholesome things. Though the abundance of bad things may dazzle you, may amaze you. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ, be ever conscious of Allah. يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, O people who exercise the intellect, لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ, in order that you may be successful. You see, we are on this journey now, journey through the Quran we call it, but spiritual journey of fasting. And I want us really to set this month, if we can. We do not know if we are going to be here next year. How many people were here last year who are not here? And how many of us are here who will not be here next year? I've said it recently that in the last few months, the people whose janazas I've attended, many of them are younger than myself. There's no guarantee. You see, you come into the world in order. Grandfather, then father, then son, then grandson. When you leave the world, there's no guarantee. The order is not the same. The grandson may go before the grandfather. So look at the goodness and where we are and where we can be. And this hadith implies that. اتق الله حيثما كنت. Be conscious of Allah wherever you are. And we are in the month of taqwa. The month of pursuing taqwa. اتق الله حيثما كنت. وأتبع السيئة الحسنة تمحها. And follow up something wrong you may have done, a past wrong. Wipe it out with some good. Wipe the wrong you may have done in the past with some good. وَخَالِقِ النَّاسِ بِخُلُقٍ حَسَنٍ. And engage with people in a positive and a good way. You see, there's so much goodness in the worst of us. There's so much goodness in the worst of us. And so many faults in the best of us. That it does not behove the rest of us to look down upon any of us. And therefore, we look at this hadith in that light. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, ittaqullah. Be conscious of Allah, O people of faith. وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ. And let each individual self carefully consider what he has sent forth for tomorrow, for the future, for the hereafter. وَاتَّقُوا, one of the few ayat where the word ittaqullah appears twice. إِنَّ اللَّهَ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. Surely Allah is fully informed about everything. The Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was asked about khairun nas, who are the best of people. He said something that captures those kind of essential qualities which we need to imbibe in Ramadan, each one of us individually. I don't want us to go home and take this hadith or this book and give it to someone. When you come to an ayah of a munafiq, I know, I'm going to Sadullah, he's a munafiq. No, leave him. Worry about yourself. Worry about yourself. Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, in his Jawhar al-Quran, he spoke about the veils between people in understanding the Quran. He said there are people when they see a verse and they see something good, oh, Allah is talking about me. The fasting ones, oh, it's me. The righteous one, it must be me. When something wrong, they think, oh, I know a friend of mine who's like this. It's a veil because you're blinded by your own self. So, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was asked, who are the best of people? And we should imbibe these qualities. He said, إِذَا أَحْسَنُوا يَسْتَبْشَرُوا وَإِذَا أَسَاءُوا يَسْتَغْفَرُوا وَإِذَا أُعْطُوا شَكَرُوا وَإِذَا بَتُلُوا صَبَرُوا وَإِذَا غَضِبُوا غَفَرُوا. He said, there are those, when they do good, they are cheerful doing good. Some people do good things, they give charity, you have to drag it out of them, like a dentist. Not nothing on the dentist now, but I mean the people going for extraction now. Or they must do some good work. They moan about it. Why me? I did that last time. Why can't you do it? When you do good, look forward. Be happy. Doing good. When you do wrong, acknowledge the wrong and seek forgiveness. كل ابن آدم خطاء. All human beings err. وخير الخطائين التوابون. The best of those who err are those who repent. So he said, وَإِذَا أَسَاءُوا اسْتَغْفَرُوا. When they make a wrong, they acknowledge the wrong and they ask Allah's forgiveness. وَإِذَا أُعْطُوا شَكَرُوا. When they receive, they're grateful. وَإِذَا بَتُلُوا صَبَرُوا. When they go through hardship and difficulty, they are able to patiently persevere. وَإِذَا غَضِبُوا غَفَرُوا. And they forgive even when they're angry. Even in their anger, they have the capacity to forgive. We need to get to know ourselves. Imam Hassan al-Basri said, مَنْ عَرَفَ نَفْسَهُ فَقَدْ عَرَفَ رَبَّهُ. Get to know yourself. You get to know your Creator. Sayyidina Ali karramallahu wajhah described what the believers, how they see themselves. And I think perhaps he was describing himself. He said, أَنَا أَعْلَمُ بِنَفْسِي مِنْ غَيْرِي وَرَبِّي أَعْلَمُ مِنِّي بِنَفْسِي. He said, I know myself better than other people. And my Lord knows me better than I know myself. Then he made a dua. اللهم لا تؤاخذني بما يقولون واجعلني أفضل مما يظنون واغفر لي ما لا يعلمون. Oh Allah, do not deal with me according to the bad that people think of me. Oh Allah, make me better than what people think I am. And oh Allah, forgive me for those shortcomings that people may not even know about. This is the height of tazkiyah. وَأَتْبِعَ السَّيِّئَةَ حَسَنَةً تَمْحُوهَا. Improving the self. Moving. You did something bad, something wrong. Move towards something good. I'll give you an example of one person. Julaybib was a companion of Rasulullah. And the Prophet took specific care about this person, Julaybib. Probably you never heard of him. Julaybib is not even a proper name. It means a small one or a small thing, or you can refer to a small town or a small person. And the way the Prophet dealt with this person reflects the capacity of the Prophet to raise people above their hopelessness. This is about Ramadan. Never mind how bad you've been, how good you can be. Every saint had a past, and every sinner has a future. Depending. The saints can become sinners, but the sinners can become saints. But those who are truly saintly never become sinful. And those who are sinful can work towards becoming saints. So, Julaybib, Prophet inspired him. And how he moved from wrong towards something good. He was described as Damimul Wajh, Qasirul Qam. It means severely deformed in the face, extremely short. In other words, he had the unfortunate distinction of being physically handicapped. Not only that, he was socially challenged. They didn't know from which tribe he came. They didn't know his last name. They only know him as Julaybib, if that was his proper name in the first place. He had no connection. One day, he came to the Prophet ﷺ in the Masjidul Nabawi Sharif. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm so frustrated. I'm a human being. I have needs. I have sexual desires. Give me permission to commit zina. Can you imagine asking the Prophet? Now, can you imagine somebody does something like that? See, I'm explaining to you how far we've gone from the Sunnah of Rasulullah. Rasulullah in Masjid Nabawi Sharif, somebody came and urinated in the mosque. Urinated in the mosque. Of course, he didn't have carpets. Said, no, Umar, want to take the guy out. Rasulullah said, easy. Take some water, throw over him, take him one side and tell him out that you don't do this. He's a desert person. He just saw the open space and he did what he did. Look at the Prophet's attitude to someone who did something so vulgar. But he looked at where he was and to be able to take him where he could be. So Julaybib was so frustrated, Ya Rasulullah, permit me, I want to have sexual relations with someone. I can't get married, what should I do? So some of the companions who were around reacted differently. Some scoffed at him, how can you say this to the Prophet? Some pulled him away, shh, don't say that. And some of them wanted to beat him up. And the Rasul said, hold on. He said, he was in distance, he said, Julaybib, come here. Sunnah of the Rasul. He said, would you like someone to fornicate with your mother? He said, no, Rasulullah. He said, come closer. Would you like someone to fornicate with your aunt? He said, no, Rasulullah. He said, come closer. Would you like it to be with your sister? He said, no, Rasulullah. Then the Prophet said, so how would you like it that other people you fornicate with their sister or their daughter or their brother or their mother? Julaybi realized his wrongful nature, and the Prophet ﷺ called him until he came in front of the Rasul, and the Rasul did his concluding spiritual operation with a supplication. Spiritual operation. He put his hand on his chest. He said, Allahumma ghfir lahu wa tahhir qalbahu wa hafadh farjahu. So Allah, forgive him. Cleanse his heart and guard his chastity. He was very ashamed. He said, Ya Rasulullah, idhan tajiduni kasidan. Oh Allah, O Prophet of Allah, do you think I'm useless? The Rasul said, Innaka inda Allahi lasta bikasid. You are not worthless in the estimation of Allah. After one of the military expeditions, there was a severe armed retaliation against the Muslims. And some Muslims were killed. And the Rasul ﷺ inquired, it was chaos. And the Prophet inquired, هل تفقدون من أحد? Have you lost anybody? And they said, no, Rasulullah, we are here. Some people have died. We know this. And he said, no. وَلَكِنَّنِي أَفْقُدْ جُلَيْبِبًا. I'm missing Julaybi, but I think I've lost him. They looked for him and they found him buried. 7 people were on him, who he attacked and he died. He had 91 wounds on his body and he was martyred. 91 wounds on his body. Small, he wasn't more than 4 foot, they say. Severely deformed in the face, extremely short. And this person, who had no last name, no relatives, no apparent status, no connection, no real name for God's sake. Rasulullah found his body. And then he dug his grave. The Rasul dug his grave. And the Rasul personally, because he was small,